आपका दोस्त जेमी ऑल्टर फ्राइडे I've got my cup of hot steaming coffee. I hope you all are settled into your that Friday evening groove क्योंकि दोस्तों वीकेंड आ चुका है बस आ ही गया है समझो होपफुली आप सब फ्री हो रहे हैं अपने अपने कामों से अपने ऑफिस से एंड यू कैन लुक फॉरवर्ड टू अ वीकेंड ऑफ रिलैक्सेशन एंड ऑल्सो अ वीकेंड ऑफ क्रिकेट दोस्तों जी हाँ इंडिया वर्सेस वेस्ट इंडीज T20 आई सीरीज के जो आखिरी दो मैच बचे हैं जो फ्लोरिडा में खेला जाएंगे वो सैटरडे और संडे बैक टू बैक डे सो इट्स गोइंग बी अ बम्पर एक्शन पैक वीकेंड. Of course, we also have the Commonwealth Games going on, a busy weekend for all our Indian athletes there. जो हमारी महिला टीम है वो भी अभी मेडल मैचेस में आ चुके हैं सो इट्स अ एक्शन पैक्ड वीकेंड और इसी के चलते आज का शो का टॉपिक जो है वो है क्रैम्ड packed international cricket calendar, a topic which has been in the news in the last couple of weeks because of all the various tournaments, the leagues that are going on, the fact that we've seen Australian cricket के बीच जो चल रहा है अभी डेविड वार्नर को डेविड वार्नर को लेके चर्चा हुई थी कि क्या वो BBL skip करेंगे. We saw a few weeks ago when Ben Stokes decided to retire from one-day cricket at the age of 31. Many former players and administrators had things to say. तो इस सब के चलते आज का शो है दोस्तों crammed cricket calendar को लेके as well as an eye on Indian cricket because you've seen the Indian team or the various Indian teams because we've seen a lot of players rested and rotated, some new players come. तो ऑलमोस्ट हर हफ्ते दोस्तों इंडियन टीम क्रिकेट खेलती आई है पूरे साल भर और अब वेस्ट इंडीज सीरीज के बाद कुछ ही दिन बाद वेस्ट इंडीज का एक टूर है which I like to call an A team tour because a lot of the big players will not be going there. उसके बाद दोस्तों एशिया कप, उसके बाद घरेलू सीरीज ऑस्ट्रेलिया T20s, साउथ अफ्रीका T20s एंड देन साउथ अफ्रीका वन डेज उसके कुछ ही दिन बाद T20 वर्ल्ड कप. So all this is leading me to ask the question to all of you as well as my guest Prateek Srivastava who will be joining us very soon. Is this going to take a toll on the Indian players at the Asia Cup and the T20 World Cup? Like I said, it's Friday. We're talking cricket here on this show called The Alternate View with me, Jamie Alter. अगर आपके कुछ सवाल है कुछ क्वेश्चन है तो आप नीचे अपने लॉक स्क्रीन पे लिख सकते हैं. As usual, we're going to have a good show. And any moment now, my friend Prateek will be joining me. See, Raghavendra Rajal Bandi is a new follower. Welcome to the show. Post your comments. बाकी आप लोग के पास कुछ सवाल है तो आप लिख सकते हैं और बहुत ही जल्द जब क्रिकेट राइटर और मेरे दोस्त प्रतीक जुड़ेंगे इस शो पे पहली बार आ रहे हैं प्रतीक इस शो पे तो उनका स्वागत करिए and we'll get the show going. If you have any questions for me now, please go ahead and ask me. I like to engage with you all. और आप जानते भी होंगे कि जैसे ही शो शुरुआत होता है and we get into that discussion, it's often tough to answer all the questions. So allow me a cup of hot coffee and we'll get this show going. अगर आप सीरीज फॉलो कर रहे हैं तो आप जानते हैं कि पिछले 3 मैच में से भारतीय टीम 2 जीती है टू बी अप 2-1 इन द सीरीज. पिछले 3 मैच जो हैं वो वेस्ट इंडीज में खेला गया. अब जो है श्रृंखला शिफ्ट हो रहा है फ्लोरिडा जहाँ पे काफी काफी मैचेस हो चुके हैं. भारतीय टीम वहां खेल चुकी है शायद 2 बार गए हैं एंड दे प्लेड अगेंस्ट द वेस्ट इंडीज. मुझे याद है एक मैच में वेस्ट इंडीज ने 210 212 ऐसा कुछ था बनाया था और इंडिया चेस करके मात्र 1 रन से हारी. आखिरी बॉल पे धोनी ने कैच किया था शायद ब्रावो बॉलर थे और गली या शॉर्ट थर्ड मैन के आसपास कैच गया था. So it's known to be a high scoring match. I'm frankly looking forward to these matches. Who do we have here? We have Shobit Sharma saying hi. कैसे हैं आप? मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ. आप बताइए शोभित. मैं बस पूछ रहा हूँ प्रतीक से कि भाई आप कहाँ पे हो फिर हम शो करेंगे and we'll get going. कैसे हैं? मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ शोभित. थैंक यू वेरी नाइस टू गुड लवली लवली. कीप द कमेंट्स कमिंग. कीप द हार्ट्स एंड द लाइक्स कमिंग. सवाल है आपके पास मेरे लिए या प्रतीक के लिए जो अभी शो पे जुड़ेंगे तो प्लीज गो अहेड एंड आस्क. It's Friday. I'm looking forward to some a good weekend. I'm also keen, like I said at the start, to see how the women's team go in these medal matches. I think वो पहला जो झटका लगा ऑस्ट्रेलियन महिला टीम के साथ उसके बाद the team has really regrouped, especially the bowlers. They bowl really well. Why surveys are not coming? सर्वे का मतलब मैं समझा नहीं दोस्त. आप मुझे बता दीजिए सर्वेस का मतलब से क्या आप कह रहे हैं. शोभित आप मस्त हैं बढ़िया. सिद्धार्थ मिश्रा हार्ट भेज रहे हैं. शुक्रिया मेरे दोस्त. आप लोग हार्ट भेजते रहिए लाइक भेजते रहिए तालियां ठोकते रहिए. आज जबरदस्त शो होने वाला है एज यूजुअल. We're talking Indian cricket, but from the perspective of a crammed calendar. Karthik Roy कह रहे हैं, Hi, how are you? I'm very well, Karthik. How are you? Hope you're enjoying your Friday. सिद्धार्थ मिश्रा कह रहे हैं हाउ आर यू जेमी, मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ मेरे दोस्त सिद्धार्थ मिश्रा, लाइक वेलकम, ठोकते रहिए। अगर आप लोग के पास कुछ सवाल है भारतीय क्रिकेट को लेके, स्क्वाड को लेके, शायद इसी वीकेंड या लेटेस्ट मंडे ट्यूसडे तक बीसीसीआई अनाउंस करेगी एशिया कप का स्क्वाड। सो इट्स गोना बी फन टू सी व्हाट्स गोइंग ऑन देयर। मेरे हिसाब से उस 15-16 की स्क्वाड में से 11 से 12 प्लेयर लॉक हैं, a couple loose areas, but I think the contenders have already put their hands up. Arshdeep Singh, Deepak Huda. Yep. What today will you give in Mission Mark Cricket? हाँ, आज के शो पे हम बात कर रहे हैं क्रैम्ड क्रिकेट कैलेंडर। इतना सारा क्रिकेट जो खेला जा रहा है, इसका असर पड़ेगा प्लेयर्स पे एशिया कप में और वर्ल्ड कप में। बहुत सारे पूर्व क्रिकेटर्स और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स इस बारे में बात कर चुके हैं कि भाई थोड़ा कम करो, मे बी दिल बी अ विंडो फॉर द अदर फॉर्मेट। सो who else is there? Shobit is there, Karthik Roy, Rahul Chauhan saying beautiful। अच्छा, थैंक यू। अगर आप, मेरा चेहरा ब्यूटीफुल लग रहा है आपको, या आपको शो ब्यूटीफुल लग रहा है, या आपको क्रिकेट ब्यूटीफुल लग रहा है, बहुत बहुत अच्छा है, आप बोलते रहिए। आई एम गोना सी वेयर प्रतीक इज। अभी तो फिलहाल तो रेडी थे वो, मे बी ही इज हैविंग सम इश्यूज ज्वाइनिंग, बट देखते हैं कहाँ गए हमारे मित्र। बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्ट पड़ेगा, हाँ यार देखो, क्योंकि अगर आप सभी मेरे ख्याल से क्रिकेट से वाकिफ हैं और आप सभी भारतीय क्रिकेट टीम के फॉलोअर्स हैं, के प्रेमी हैं, तो इस साल इट्स बिन सीरीज आफ्टर सीरीज आफ्टर सीरीज। वी सॉ दैट द टीम केम बैक फ्रॉम दैट डिसअपॉइंटिंग टूर ऑफ साउथ अफ्रीका। उसके बाद कुछ खिलाड़ी को ब्रेक मिला और हमारी टीम जो है वो पहले वेस्ट इंडीज से खेली, श्रीलंका से खेले, and here I think I've got a join request now from Prateek, so let's get him on the show। तो एग्जैक्टली दोस्तों, वही इतनी सारी सीरीज के बाद बहुत सारे प्लेयर्स को ब्रेक मिला है। केएल राहुल इस पूरे साल में एक भी T20 मैच नहीं खेले हैं भारतीय टीम के लिए। हाँ जी, नमस्कार।
Hello, Jimmy. How are you?
अरे लाउड एंड क्लियर, वेरी वेल। थोड़ा यार एक दोस्त मेरे काम करो, थोड़ा अपना हेडरूम करो, यहाँ पे कट रहा है
Shall
पूरा।
I take it a little back?
गो बैक, यू ऑल्सो सिट बैक, यहाँ
Okay.
तक कट रहा है वीडियो भाई। वी नीड मोर हेडरूम, वी नीड मोर हेडरूम। थोड़ा और कर लो, और करो,
I
कुछ
don't
और
know,
करो।
man. If there is much.
अभी कट रहा है,
One
कट
sec,
रहा है।
one sec. Let me. I have to change.
आराम से, आराम से। अरे पीपल आर वेलकमिंग यू, रोहित शोभित इज सेइंग वेलकम, देव प्रताप सिंह। हाँ ये ठीक है भाई, ये
This is
ठीक है,
good.
ये ठीक है। गुड गुड,
Okay.
नाइस शर्ट यार।
Thank you.
गुड टू सी योर स्माइलिंग फेस। दोस्तों जैसे मैं बता रहा था, ये मेरे मित्र हैं, फॉर्मर कॉलीग प्रतीक श्रीवास्तव। इन्होंने बहुत क्रिकेट देखा है, बहुत क्रिकेट लिखा है। मैं ज्यादा तारीफ नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि हमें बहुत बातें भी करना है, बट हाउ इज योर डे बीन सो फार?
It's been pretty good, man. I mean, we spoke in the morning, and since then I've been preparing a bit because I haven't done this sort of bit in a while. So I thought, I should be all ready when it happens, when it starts. So
Well
I've been
said, well
pretty
said।
busy, and I mean, obviously I've been working around and also I was in the gym for a couple of hours. So it's been a good day so far, and I
गुड
hope it
स्टफ।
gets. I just hope that it gets better.
I think now that you're with me and all these lovely people who are welcoming you and saying, Dev
Thank
Pratap
you,
keh rahe hain, we're both looking good. Thank you guys. We don't
thank
get
you
so many
everyone,
compliments
thank you
in life.
everyone.
अच्छा है दोस्तों, जस्ट बिफोर वी गेट गोइंग आई वांट टू टेल आवर व्यूअर्स कि एक समय था जब मैं और प्रतीक साथ काम करते थे, काफी साल हो गए। हम दोनों वीडियो से इतना भागते थे, पर अब देखो दोनों साथ में वीडियो बैठ के कर रहे हैं। बट दैट इज लाइफ यार। So yeah, guys and Prateek, we're here talking once again cricket, but we're talking about the crammed calendar, क्योंकि ये ऐसा मुद्दा बन चुका है प्रतीक के a lot of players are saying that एक format कम करो, revamp करो। We're seeing news from Australia कि two more leagues have come. How will the Australian players find time to play for Australia and that? I want to take our viewers back a bit। यार हम तुम प्रतीक, हम उस जमाने के हैं, हम इतने बुजुर्ग नहीं, लेकिन हम उस एरा से हैं जब दो ही फॉर्मेट थे और बड़ा मजा आता था इन दोनों फॉर्मेट को फॉलो करते हुए, बिकॉज इट वॉज वेरी सिंपल। देयर वाज टेस्ट एंड देयर वाज वन डेज। अक्सर अगर कोई टीम इंडिया आती थी तो इट वाज स्प्लिट बिटवीन टू फॉर्मेट्स, राइट, एंड इट वाज वेरी सीजनल। इज लाइक वी नो के अगर मार्च अप्रैल का महीना है तो न्यूजीलैंड आएगा या इंग्लैंड आएगा, अगर नवंबर है तो वेस्ट इंडीज। हाउ फार हैज द गेम कम कि नाउ देयर इज नो ब्रीदिंग रूम यार?
JV, yes. I mean, it has changed totally. Like, I mean, that is nostalgia. Like back in the days we had these limited cricket series, and we always look forward to those series. But I think things have changed, and I think cricket has evolved. So you cannot go against the change, because at some point it had to change, and that cricket back in the day was pretty small in terms of finance and everything else. But now there is so much money involved, so much also. Even with the advent of social media, the internet, the following has also gone up. Back in the day, we had just radio sets, TV sets, and not all of us had TV sets. So there are
Yep.
too many people into cricket now. They may not love the game, but in terms of engagement, I don't think it has been better before. Like, it's like right now at its peak. So things definitely have changed, and we have, as I said, you also have to reconcile. All of us, we have to reconcile with this change. I mean, you cannot go. I mean, you can say that there is too much cricket, but there is a reason why there is so much cricket. Yeah.
A lot of our viewers are also agreeing with what you're saying. So basically, as we're discussing it, it's purely financially driven, and that then at some point boils into greed. Greed by not just for the players, but the powers that be, the board. So are we facing a situation where, because of the financial aspect, we've seen, yeah, I mean, आईपीएल को शुरू हो गए 14-15 साल हो गए. आईपीएल चला तो बहुत सारे लीग्स, ऑलमोस्ट एवरी कंट्री नाउ हैज सम T20 लीग. ऑफ कोर्स, बिकॉज ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस एंड द फाइनेंशियल माइट, द टॉप वन इज आईपीएल. उसके बाद शायद बीबीएल होगा, सीपीएल होगा, पीएसएल होगा, जो भी है. बट प्लेयर्स, Pratik, players also have a choice now, right? And you cannot begrudge a player who wants to earn more, right? Like I was talking to one of my guests 2 days ago. He said, यार, a player साल के 8 महीने अपने देश के लिए खेल के एक्स कमा सकता है. वही प्लेयर साल के 4 महीने खेल के 4-5 लीग्स में उससे दुगना तिगना कमा सकता है. You cannot hold that against a player in these times, right?
No, no, you cannot. You cannot. And I think this is a little overrated, okay? This nationalism and everything. This is a little overrated. I mean, all of us want to earn money, we all of us want to lead a good life, okay? So if somebody is preferring a league over a country commitments, I think you cannot blame the player at all. Not at all. In fact, I mean, now thanks to three formats, that there are more opportunities for these players. Back in the day, and also because there is so much cricket, there are also opportunities of playing. I mean, so many of these Indian cricketers wouldn't get a chance 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but now they are getting these opportunities because there is so much cricket, and there is so many opportunities to play cricket and make money. So I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I would never blame a cricketer for choosing a T20 league over their country commitments. Never.
Fair enough. Now we all know that the Indian players are not allowed to play any other T20 league because they're contractually bound by the BCI, which does not allow them to play any other T20 league. I was quite heartened to see कि हमारे काफी बंदे अभी इंग्लैंड में काउंटी क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं और वनडे क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, बट T20 अलाउड नहीं है. Now we've seen that when all the other players are not playing for their country, English, Zimbabweans, New Zealanders, West Indies, these players, they can all, Australians, they can all go play leagues. Our Indian players, despite not being allowed to play leagues, have played virtually the most cricket this year, 2022 mein, because it's literally been one season, one series after another. The team comes back from South Africa, कहाँ break मिला इनको? West Indies आ गई 3 मैच खेलने. West Indies गई, उसके 3 दिन बाद श्रीलंका आई. श्रीलंका ने टेस्ट खेला, श्रीलंका ने T20 खेला. उसके 4-5 दिन पहले, मैक्सिमम हफ्ते बाद, हमारा आईपीएल शुरू हो गया. आईपीएल खत्म नहीं हुआ कि 4-5 तो हमारे प्लेयर घायल हो गए, जो होते हैं हर बार. That's because of the cramped schedule. That gets done. We see one Indian team goes off to England to play a rescheduled 5th टेस्ट मैच. लगभग उसी समय एक दूसरा टीम, मैं उसको बी टीम नहीं कहूंगा बिकॉज नाउ आई थिंक वी हैव इनफ डेप्थ बेंच स्ट्रेंथ. वन टीम इज प्लेइंग इन आयरलैंड. वो आयरलैंड सीरीज के ओवरलैप ही the first one day started. We're now looking at a stage, Prateek, which was unthinkable perhaps from an Indian perspective. I know a lot of other teams have fielded multiple teams, लेकिन हमारे इंडियन क्रिकेट में शायद 2021 से पहले we never saw a day where एक ही टाइम पे हमारे दो टीम्स अलग अलग देश में अलग अलग फॉर्मेट्स खेल रहे हैं. Now, are we that far from a day where the Indian team could be playing a test match in a certain day and a T20 in another country and an ODI? Because we have that depth. But it's also because of the cramped calendar, BCI might be forced to play multiple teams, which is very normal.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I wouldn't, set much store by this, because I don't think we have that much depth. Okay, if you're playing a
Acha.
lesser team, a team like Ireland, or even Sri Lanka last year, then maybe you can do all this. Okay, but if you wanna, can you play Australia and England at one time? Can you
It might
produce?
be not now, but I think that day is not far away.
Yeah, so I mean, we are still far from that, right? I mean, right now we are not in a position to play two world-class teams at once in two different formats, like with
Fair
two
enough. Fair
different
enough.
teams. Yeah. So this also shows that there is now an obligation. I mean, I don't want to side with with these boards, but this is a reality. Like, there is so much money to be made, out of I mean, the broadcast money and other kind of sponsorships. So you cannot blame even, like, just like I said, you cannot blame a player. Similarly, you cannot blame a board, because they're also doing the same thing. They are making a lot of money, then they will put this money into your domestic structure, which will get better. The coaching will get better, and eventually you will have these competitive players. That the result of everything. So. I mean, it's sometimes it's absurd, because you want all 11 top Indian players play against Ireland. They you want all these top players play against Netherlands and all these, like, lesser teams. So it's a little absurd. But I think this is something. This is a change, as they say, the wind of change. And we don't know where we are heading with this. But as of now, I don't think we can do this. We can follow. We can go ahead with this against two strong teams. But if these boards, all of them, if they're hell bent and they really want to go ahead with this, you never know. 5 years down the line, it can be reality that India playing Australia in T20s, and then India playing England in Test matches. So both possible, the possibility is there, definitely.
भाई तुमने 5 साल कह दिया, मुझे लगता है कि अगले 2 साल में ये हो सकता है, बिकॉज
Could be, could be,
इट्स
could be,
because
could be.
I just think we're headed on a collision course. We've already seen कि so many boards के पास वो problem है कि हम boards चाहते हैं कि उनका जो first choice white ball players हो वो ready हो, चाहे BBL हो, but now this new league that's starting, right? All the 6 franchises, Prateek, as you are aware of, ये हमारे IPL owners, ये उनकी team है क्या? They are. It's a fact. So now you might see Indian players being given that NOC. जो इतने साल से NOC हासिल करना was such a big. I mean, we've all written articles on this whole let the Indian players go off and play. The Yuvrajes, Rainas, Uttapas, when they hit the fag end of their career and they know कि अभी इंडिया के लिए नहीं खेलेंगे. We've all said, yeah, let them go and play. You might see it happening now because when there's an Indian stake in all 6 of the franchises, it's not unthinkable that some player, जो हमारे fringe players है, we're seeing a Krunal Pandya is now playing for, I think, Warwickshire. It could be that a player like him is playing in the league. So things are going to change rather drastically. That said, ये जो हमारे lock screen पे players है, we have someone like Rohit Sharma and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Now, a year ago, Prateek, I don't know what your views are. I had pretty much given up on Bhuvneshwar because he was injury prone. The pace had come down. In the last 10 months, this guy has revived himself to the extent that he's now going to go to the World Cup, fitness pending. It's because other players were also rotated, keeping in mind the schedule, that players like him. Deepak Huda, yes, he scored runs for Haryana, Baroda, he scored runs in IPL. इन लोग ये जो फ्रिंज प्लेयर्स हैं, इनको मौका मिलता है जब कोई बड़ा प्लेयर रेस्टेड है या इंजर्ड है. तो डिस्पाइट ऑल दिस, देयर आल्सो आर अपॉर्चुनिटीज थ्रू द cramped schedule for players to come back and revive their careers or even break out.
Of course, of course. Why? I mean, this is a massive opportunity. Like, if they get more opportunities to play, right now they are only confined to the IPL in terms of
Yeah.
T20s, right? And when some of these Indian players are out of form, in like Test cricket and all, they go to England to polish their technique and all that. Like, and this has been happening for a very long time. Recently we saw Pujara
Yeah.
played there, and I think because of his good run, he also got the fifth Test match there.
Yep.
But if if they replicate the whole thing with T20s, I think it's gonna be massive boost, and I think there should be more voices from these Indian cricketers, because I remember 4 5 years ago, nobody would say that we wanna play in these overseas leagues. Everyone, because everyone was part of the IPL, and IPL takes care of everything, right? From the money aspect to everything else is nicely taken care of. So people weren't very outspoken. But recently, when when Suresh Raina wasn't
Yep.
picked by CSK, he said that we need this liberty to go elsewhere and
Correct.
showcase
Correct.
our skill. So sooner or later, I think more and more voices is going to join Raina, because everyone wants opportunity. It's like, it's not, that's what I'm saying, that it's not your cricket of the 90s and 80s, that nationalism is totally out of the window now. It's a business, it's a job, right? And you do a good job, you get paid well. So this is, I
Yep.
think we are heading in that direction. And I think in the long run, I think it'll be good for Indian cricket if they're allowed to play, even these as you said, French cricketers, if they're allowed to play in Australia, Bangladesh, not Pakistan,
All the
of
leagues.
course.
Yeah. हाँ
But
वहाँ पर
yeah,
मुश्किल है but हाँ.
yeah. But I think, yeah, I mean, this is, I think we are heading in that direction. I can see that happening for sure.
Chaliye, let's get down to Indian cricket because we have the Asia Cup starting this month and then not too long away is the T20 World Cup. हमारे viewers है यहाँ पे बहुत बहुत guys are saying well done, we agree with you, thank you, thanks guys, please keep your comments coming, send some hearts, some likes, all the lovely stuff, we like it. But point ये है कि from the last T20 World Cup in the UAE, which to my mind was a dismal performance from India. उसके बाद हम न्यूजीलैंड से खेलें घर पे, वेस्ट इंडीज, श्रीलंका, साउथ अफ्रीका, आयरलैंड, इंग्लैंड, वेस्ट इंडीज. Very soon some A B team is going to go to Zimbabwe. Then we have Asia Cup. Then we have उसके बाद Australia is coming for 3 T20s, South Africa for 3 T20s, and then 3 ODIs. उसके बाद they go to the World Cup. So these players are not getting a break. I get why certain players break down. I don't get why certain players also break down. Like Rohit Sharma, why does he break down every 2 months? KL Rahul, क्या हो रहा है? But isn't it all a bit too much in a T20 World Cup year? Should the boards have perhaps given these guys some leeway to get away from cricket?
I think yes, but I think this is not the board's priority as of now. I mean, to be honest, it's not like people there who are powerful people in the BCCI. They don't know all this. They know everything. It's because probably winning an ICC tournament is not the most important thing for them. For them, I mean,
Hmm.
we have to decide. I mean, India is a top team right now. For the last 4 5 years, we have beaten Australia in Australia twice. We did very well
Twice.
against England. Maybe if the fifth Test match was played last year, who knows? We would have probably taken even that Test series, right? So, so the point is now, as a fan, we also need to decide what do we want from our team. Do we want a consistent team for 4 years, or we want a team which is all over the place for 4 years but wins the World Cup?
Point. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so because if you see most of these World Cups, with the exception of the West Indies team in the 70s, and then Australian Ricky Ponting's team in early
Ah,
2000s, you see that the favorites never win the tournament. They never do, actually. So now we have to decide. Like, if you ask me, I'll take a team which does well across 4 years, 5 years. If it
okay.
is wins
Okay.
the World Cup, it's great. But yeah, Jamie, you also have, you, and probably you'll agree that these World Cup memories, even though they are massive in proportion, but they are very ephemeral. You forget them real fast. You will remember the Test match win in Ghana. You will remember the
Absolutely. Bilkul. Bilkul. Bilkul.
and
Bilkul.
these world, like Australia won the T20 World Cup. I don't think like I remember much about it. I'll be very
Yes.
honest. Okay, so
I
as a
agree. I
fan, we
agree.
need to decide what do we want. Do we want a Pakistan that does well from one ICC tournament to another ICC tournament, or we want a team which is really solid, which goes to England, which goes to Australia, to South Africa, and they have started winning. But now we want
Yep.
them to be probably more, more dominating, more controlling. So, so I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, for me, World Cup, if they win it, it's great. But if they don't win it, what I want from them is to be consistent across those 4 5 years,
नहीं
from
ठीक
World
है.
Cup
I
one
get
World
that.
Cup to another World Cup.
नहीं बात में दम है तुम्हारी. I get it. But I think a lot of viewers will be like, यार देखो 2013 के बाद हम कुछ we've not won a single ICC trophy. So I get where people are. I'm on the
No,
same page as you, but I understand लोग.
sorry, Jimmy.
हाँ,
Sorry to cut you short. See, मैं उसी बात पे आ रहा था. I don't think it's
हाँ,
the board's priority right now winning the
which is
ICC,
a big
because
problem then.
because I don't think they are setting much store by these ICC events. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't want to win. Everyone wants to
हाँ
win,
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
but this is not something at the top of the pecking order in terms of their priorities. So I don't know if they're really serious about this. They are probably more serious about the IPL, these bilateral series, especially with big teams like Australia and England, where actually there is a huge opportunity to make money, from all on all counts. So I'm not too sure if they're actually serious about these ICC tournaments.
That's the kind of left field answer I expected from you when I got you on the show. You always call a spade a spade. नहीं बात में दम है. Again, so then keeping on this thing, normally, of course, the ODI World Cup ke beech there's a 4 year gap. T20 World Cups had longer gap because of COVID. We're in the awkward situation where a year later there's another T20 World Cup, right? But because for all the reasons you've said, India has been a top team now for 5-6 years, so there's more expectation. The more, and like you said, the team has done exceedingly well in those 4 years to win in Australia twice. कभी नहीं जीते वहां पे series before. Now you've won twice. You've gone to England. You had the upper hand because you that 8-9 month gap between the fourth and fifth test matches and baseball and all that nonsense. But India were up 2-1. So the expectation rises. मेरे हिसाब से I'm going to say that I had high hopes from the Indian team going into the 2021 T20 World Cup because it was a home World Cup. COVID shifted it, but you were still the quote unquote hosts, right? You were the only team out of all the teams, Prateek, in that tournament जिनके सारे squad members लगातार 2 महीने IPL खेल रहे थे. बाकी देश का, because of the overseas rule, you had 3-4, right? You had players in form. होता क्या है? History repeated itself. मोहम्मद आमिर ने जो आपके साथ 2007 2017 में किया था, वही शाहीन शाह अफरीदी ने आपके साथ 2 ओवर में कर दिया. 2019 सेमीफाइनल ट्रेंट बोल्ट ने वही किया, राइट? सो आई जज a team's progress by these ICC events because at the end of the day, you do play tournaments to win them, right? If you're not winning them, ठीक है. If you're not winning them because of the same frailties, the same, that's my point. So if the team goes to Australia in 2 months and again a Bolt or a Afridi, यार 5 days ago Obed McCoy ने हमारी धागे खोल दिए left arm pace. Now Obed McCoy is not a Bolt or a Afridi, but if these same problems persist, you have to ask the question कि भाई आप बीच में क्या कर रहे हो?
Yeah, no, that's a valid. These are valid points, Jamie. Because I'll sorry, I'll tell you a very interesting story. Okay, in the lead up to the 2021 T20 World Cup. Okay,
हाँ.
some 4 or 5 months before the World Cup, I saw Shoaib Akhtar on one of these Pakistani channels. Okay, and I'm telling you, okay, this is like this baffled me, and this baffled me for 4 or 5 months. He
हाँ.
said because of the IPL, Indian players will be awfully tired, and this is saying 4 months before, and they are not going to the next round.
अच्छा.
And in plain terms, right? Like no holding back. Okay, this is what he said that we're gonna beat
Sure.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna beat India, and this is again I'm saying that how prophetic. Two
Yep,
uh,
yep, yep.
2 to 3 months before I'm watching this on my phone. Okay, and he said it because of the IPL, which goes 1.5 months. Close to 2 months. They'll be so tired that they'll have no idea when what hit them when the World Cup begins.
और
So
वही हुआ.
Shoaib Akhtar was, and I was like quite baffled, like how could you? And I
Yeah.
thought that was like exaggerated and everything, but I was totally stunned when things actually panned out the way he had predicted a couple of months ago. So there is this factor, very important factor. If players are tired, super tired, this is going to affect their performance. In fact, what we saw in last year's IPL before the World Cup, we
हाँ.
saw all the major Indian players, they were struggling in the IPL. So there were signs. It's not like we were totally
There
taken
were
aback
signs.
in the
Six.
World Cup. There were signs. So we'll have to see again. Look for those signs heading into the World Cup. If Rohit Sharma doesn't score, and he hasn't actually in the last quite a few months. Kohli
The
is
whole
totally all
year.
over the place. Kohli is all over the place, and there is not KL Rahul. We don't know what has happened to him,
We have
and
no idea.
there is not a simple, not one reliable batsman in the team. Maybe Surya Kumar to some extent, but he's fairly inexperienced in terms of international level. So I am quite like baffled. I just don't know what is going to happen to this team. Probably the only hope is that favorites don't win the World Cups.
इस हाँ नहीं, इस बात से सहमत हूँ। इस बार तो ये टीम कहीं से फेवरेट्स नहीं है। यू जस्ट मेंशन प्रतीक, यू मेंशन केएल राहुल। आई डोंट नो यू आर अवेयर, आई मीन यू प्रॉब्ली आर, हमारे व्यूअर जानते नहीं है। ये बंदे ने इस पूरे साल में प्रतीक एक भी T20I मैच नहीं खेला इंडिया के लिए, एंड वी आर इन द फर्स्ट वीक ऑफ ऑगस्ट। रेस्ट, इंजरी, कोविड, वट एवर इट इज, I know that every IPL for the last 5 years, this guy is in the top three run getters, right? But such an important player, such a devastating player on his day, इसने 8 महीने में प्रतीक, he's not played a single match for India. Does he walk back into the team? Probably
No,
on reputation, yes. On, I'm saying he shouldn't, but he will. We know he will. But can you 2 months before the World Cup, can you take a player who's not played for 8 months?
that'll be very. Sorry, that'll be extremely unfair to other players. Like he cannot
Deepak,
walk into the team just like that because, frankly speaking, despite his runs and talent, whatever, I don't think he has done enough for India to walk into any team. Frankly speaking, okay. And now that he has had injury, there has been COVID issues and there have been other issues. I don't know what it is. I mean, you cannot just walk in, represent India in the World Cup. It's not child's play. It's bloody World Cup. You need players who have been with the team for at least 6 months, who have played cricket for 6 months, who have been part of these important tours. You cannot just walk in and say, "Hey, I'm going to be your opener in the World Cup."
interesting. Then let's move on to the next person who I think also falls in the same category. Obviously, we know the man struggles, Virat Kohli. He's only played 4 of the 20 odd T20Is that India has played, but I think he's been rested more than he's been played. So to one extent, I get the fact that Rahul Dravid and the think tank, they want to keep players, wrapped up in cotton wool. But the guy's not scored a run in T20s. How do you justify him also playing?
You cannot justify it. I mean, his place is. I mean, I right now I don't think he deserves a place in the team, and because of his past record being India's number one batsman, world's number for a very long time, he's been getting these opportunities. But at some point, you have to pull the plug. That I mean, I don't know. I have been a big Kohli fan, and I have, because I grew up in Delhi. I saw him playing Ranji Trophy and all that. Okay,
Yep,
so
yep.
there is also this affection, but this cannot override his lack of runs. I mean, you have to score runs. It's not, as I said, that you're representing Team India. You were a great player, but if you're not scoring runs today, you lose your place tomorrow. As simple as that. And the most worrying part, I know people compare Kohli with Tendulkar. Often they love to compare, but if you remember, Jamie, Tendulkar never had this kind of patch.
Not
Tendulkar
at
will
all.
get that
Not
guy
at
when
all.
he was on the pitch, he could see the ball. When you look at Kohli, you get this idea that he's just totally clueless. He just doesn't know where the ball is going. So it's a massive, it's a crisis for Indian cricket right now, because based on his, I mean, they say form is temporary and classy permanent. That's, I mean, all these nice things to say, but the thing is that Kohli seems to have lost it, and I don't. I mean, I want him to get back to to his runs, to his form, but I don't see it happening. Like I whatever I have seen in the last couple of months, I'm very skeptical over Kohli.
I'm also fairly skeptical for the reasons you've outlined. Also because Pratik, from what we've seen, observed, spoken to people in our line of work who have been going to the grounds, they said it's apparent that he's not lacking for any effort. He's doing the same things he's done. The routines are the same. But when the runs are not coming, this is not a lack of form. Something is not adding up. You spoke about Tendulkar. Tendulkar never went more than 10, 12 matches without runs. And back then we're like, oh, your dust match. He's now gone, on 2 years now
And
without a
Jamie,
substantial innings.
Tendulkar never looked ugly at the crease. He
बिल्कुल
never
सही
looked
कहा,
ugly. He
बिल्कुल
was always in. I
बिल्कुल
mean, you can get him out for zero or whatever, but he looked solid every time he walked out to bat. So there is a huge difference. Here is a guy who's totally lost his confidence, who looks shattered. His technique, which is not supporting him anymore. his attitude probably not supporting him anymore. He's just all over the place. So it's a sad side, but this is the truth.
It's the truth. How then, briefly wrapping up the Kohli issue, how then do you view the fact that he's been rested so much? You think it's a team trying to say, you know what, take some time away, try and figure out? Because I think when you're going through this kind of form, there's no point being rested because it's not going to come back when you're on the beach, when you're trekking. जो भी आपके पास वो वापस आएगा, the more you're playing. I think he should have been in the West Indies right now, trying to get back some form.
That is true, but I don't think that that's what the team is doing. I think it's a clear signal that we are moving on from you, right?
Interesting.
And at the first opportunity, they'll do it. So now Kohli has got very few opportunities
Interesting.
to win back everyone's confidence. I think he's on the way out because I mean it's very, as you said, it's logical. If you're out of form, then you should be playing every game, and all the more against these lesser, weaker teams, because then you get the
ये बात
opportunity
सही है.
to exactly. I mean, you may not get a bad ball from England, but you will get bad balls from West Indies, right? So you have, and
But
sometimes those 50s 60s they do a world of good to your confidence, and because
yeah,
Kohli is not there, this is a massive signal that something is amiss in his case. Who knows? I mean, I don't want to say it. I mean, I don't want to be unpopular, but then I think that's how I mean that's how it's going to pan out. I'm afraid, I'm sorry to say.